All right, let's talk about fractions. We've all been there, right? Staring at a page, trying to figure out numerators and denominators. But what if there was a way to learn them that wasn't about confusing rules, but was actually a hands-on, joyful discovery? Well, today we're going to dive into how the Montessori method completely flips this tricky topic on its head, making fractions tangible, intuitive, and, believe it or not, even delicious.
So, where do you even begin? It all starts with a simple question like this one, something universal. Forget the numbers for a second. Just think about fairness, about sharing. This is the brilliant way Montessori gets started, by grounding a really abstract idea in a real-world experience that every single kid, and let's be honest, every adult gets right away.
But here's the thing. What's the real problem with fractions? It's this. They're invisible. For a child, a concept like 1/3 just doesn't exist in the world you can see. You can't pick it up, you can't touch it. It's just an idea, a symbol on a piece of paper. And that jump from the real world to the abstract world, well, that's where all the confusion and frustration really kicks in.
And this, right here, this really lays out the difference. On the left, you've got the traditional way. Confusing rules, abstract numbers, memorization. Sound familiar? But on the right, you see the Montessori approach. It's a complete 180. It's a total shift from just memorizing something to actually understanding it, from abstract numbers to real, concrete experiences. Okay, so how do they actually do it? How do they pull this off? Well, the entire solution comes down to one single, powerful idea, making the invisible visible. The whole goal is to take that abstract concept of a fraction and turn it into something a child can physically hold in their hands, move around, and explore for themselves. And there's a name for this principle. It's called concrete mathematics, and it is the absolute foundation of this whole approach. The idea is, before a child ever even sees the symbol for 1/2, they will have already held 1/2 in their hands. They get to experience the concept physically first, which builds this deep, unshakable understanding long before they ever get to the symbols on paper.
Now, to make all this happen, you need the right tools, right? And Montessori uses a very specific toolkit full of these beautifully and intentionally designed materials. And listen, these aren't just toys, not at all. They are more like precision instruments for discovery, and each one is carefully designed to teach a very specific concept about fractions. So what's actually in this toolkit? What are we talking about here? Well, you've got things like the famous fraction insets, these amazing metal circles. You've got something called fraction skittles. And then you have methods that connect right to everyday life, like activities with food, and even just folding paper. Each one is a piece of the puzzle. Okay, these fraction insets, they are absolutely the star of the show. Just picture these metal circles perfectly cut into pieces. A child can literally take out the piece that represents 1/3. They can feel how heavy it is, trace its shape with their finger, and see for themselves how 3 of them fit perfectly together to make a whole circle. And just like that, 1/3 isn't a number anymore. It's a thing. It's real. And this is just brilliant because it shows how learning can connect to real life. Slicing an apple suddenly isn't just about snack time. It's a practical lesson in division. Sharing a small cake becomes a little experiment in what equal parts really means. It turns these totally normal, everyday activities into these delicious, super memorable lessons. So you have the tools, you have the ideas, but how does this all come together? This isn't just random play. Oh no. There's a very deliberate, very logical journey that guides a child from that very first hands-on experience all the way to understanding the abstract symbols on a page. Just look at how this path unfolds. It's so elegant. First, the child just handles the physical pieces. That's it. No numbers, no symbols, no pressure. Then you start to introduce the words. This is 1/2. And only then, once that foundation is rock solid, do they finally see the symbol that goes with the object they already know so well. From there, they discover huge concepts like equivalence on their own, just by noticing that 2 of the quarter pieces fit perfectly in the spot for the half piece. So by the time they get to adding fractions, it's not some abstract rule. It's a physical action they've already done 100 times. And this whole process, it's all building towards something really special, the aha moment. You know what I'm talking about. It's that moment when it all just clicks, not because the teacher told them, but because the child discovered it for themselves. Let me paint a picture of how this might actually happen in a classroom. So picture this. A teacher carefully slices an apple into 4 equal pieces, and each kid gets a slice. It's a simple, shared experience, but without even realizing it, they've just physically interacted with the idea of 1/4.
Okay, so a little while later, those same kids are working with the fraction in sets. Maybe one of them picks up 2 of the quarter pieces from the metal circle, and then, ding, a light bulb goes on. They remember the apple from snack time.
And that's when you hear it. A child looks at the 2 metal quarters in their hand, sees how they match the half piece, and just blurts out, "It's the same." That's it. That's the magic moment. That's not memorization. That is pure, 100% unadulterated discovery.
And this is the whole point, isn't it? That amazing moment of understanding didn't come from a worksheet or a lecture. It came through the child's own hands, through their own senses, and through their own mind connecting 2 different experiences. That is an understanding that's going to last a lifetime. It just sticks. So if we boil this all down, what are the big takeaways? First, abstract ideas need to be physical. You've got to be able to see them and touch them to really get them. Second, learning is always more powerful when it connects to our real daily lives. And finally, and this is a big one, the relationship between the parts and the whole is everything. A fraction means nothing if you don't understand the whole it came from.
And that really leaves us with a much bigger question to think about, one that goes way beyond fractions. What if all learning was structured this way? What if education wasn't about being handed answers to memorize, but about being given the tools to discover those answers for yourself? Just imagine that for a second.